I am not the host with the most. I am the host with the least. I don't have anything really prepared. That'll probably shock nobody. There are a few things on Earth that I want to do less than that. Don't ask me why that is. It's a really bad idea. I mean, I know there's a fetish for everybody out there, but licking one's ankles, most of what he says is a lie and sham. The only people that whine about stuff not being fair at the end of a game are spoiled brats. But I think what I'm experiencing out in the world is life at a simmer. I can't speak for everyone questioning whether or not you even belong in this space, in this universe. I don't know what it was, and I'm not even sure where there was. The human condition is just not designed to handle all of that. I am not even remotely exaggerating. Pretty much everybody is just needing a little more help these days. None of what I said at all has anything to do with what I'm talking about.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock Lunchbox, and of course, the top 20 if you're watching here on Strangerhood TV on YouTube. I am your host. I am not the host with the most. I am the host with the least. Beast with the least? Doesn't really matter. It's a very slow-going day here around the box. I am absolutely exhausted. I have, you can see the bags under my eyes. I mean, I just keep pointing this out every week. It's just, life is just not getting any easier, and things are just getting a little bit harder. So I am doing my absolute best to try and just make it through. I do have some stuff to talk about that's kind of related to that, but I do feel like I'm probably just going to end up keeping the top 20 kind of short today because I am just beyond exhausted. And actually kind of what I want to talk about is just how unrare that seems to be these days. So it's epidemic, I suppose, at some point. No, talk about some other stuff. But why don't we just go ahead and get right to some light housekeeping. There's a new top 20 out this week. It's titled Time to Leave New York. And it's really just about, all the problems that are here in New York. Like, as someone like me that, has really sort of maintained their political views and social views for most of their adult life. I mean, I've had some notable exceptions. Like, I've kind of come around on the Second Amendment argument because there are some good points over there. But, like, that doesn't mean that it's the right thing. It just means that it's the law of the land. You know what I mean? But, like, the stuff that I kind of believe in has been kind of true, and like I've just sort of watched a lot of people move to the left and move to the right of me, and honestly I'm just tired of it. And in a place like New York where they're just doubling down on the left, it's like you're making things worse for people in the middle, people who are actually doing the work. But well, you can check that video out. Again, it's called Time to Leave New York, and it's on Strangerhood TV on YouTube. You can check that out. You can also check out shorts from the show that is on Hard Rock Lunchbox. Hard Rock Lunchbox is both on YouTube and on TikTok and Facebook, and can't believe it's on TikTok. But also in other weird Revel 9 news, Revel 9 is now also on TikTok. Don't ask me why that is. It's a really bad idea, but I had some stuff that I was talking about the band, and I was like, this seems appropriate for TikTok, so I was able to just post it up. I haven't checked. I mean, I'm not getting any notifications, so I'm sure nobody's liking anything, which is probably appropriate. Also on that video, getting out of your own way, money can fix everything, etc., etc., etc. In Revel 9 news, our last single from the last batch of recordings, Inside, comes out next Friday. I'm not saying there will be a sneak peek next week in the box, but if the track record speaks for anything, it's probably that. But I've posted up on all of our socials where you can go pre-save it on Spotify. I hope you like it. I've been talking a lot about it because it's like a little bit different. I've been talking about it in reference and in deference to like the newer songs that we've been playing live, and just how the freedom to just sort of write all these new things are good. Truth be told, Inside is based on a Kaz riff. Those are not all that often. Those are not songs that make it all the way to recording all that often. But he wrote the main riff for Into the Afternoon, and he wrote the main riff for Inside. And then I just wrote kind of everything else around it and stuff like that. So So that's one of the reasons things are different. It's not just me just writing new stuff. It's because other members of the band are contributing something that's, up to Revel 9 snuff, or at least we think it is, and we just kind of do it that way. But anyway, that's next Friday. Please like or pre-save or whatever it is that people do on Spotify anymore. And we'll see how this one does. It seems like Aaliyah is still doing really good. I do not have a video for Inside yet. I'll get one made. I just need basically time to breathe to be able to do that. So I'll do that. The Village Pub show is the following Friday. We'll be with Something Heavy, Off the Turnpike, and Craving Strange at the Village Pub. It is no coincidence that we're releasing a new single the week before. We were also supposed to be up at Lucy's in Pleasantville on the 29th, the following weekend. It looks like that is going to fall through. Basically, my choice. The show that's kind of on the table is not the show that I want to be a part of, so we're probably gonna punt that down the road a little bit, but we'll be back up at Lucy's soon enough, I hope. And I know that people were interested in going there to see us play. I will absolutely keep you posted when I've got something a little bit more definitive, but that should be good. Discussions and drinks from the boys at Bacon Is My Podcast. Yesterday is dumb flags hanging off pickup trucks that don't use blinkers, Taco Bell, and dad jokes. I have not had a chance to check it out. I would recommend it. All of that is on Stranger TV, and that should take care of all of our light housekeeping for the channel. So I don't know what a cankle is, but apparently it's real important in the chat. So that is happening. If you're keeping up with the chat on 99 WNRR, you can certainly read all about the cankles and what those are. I suppose I have nothing to offer. I don't think I have cankles. Although I was out in Long Island City yesterday, and I was working at a place, and there's a company dog that is there, and she is so adorable. She's a boxer, and looks like she has like a slight underbite. It's just really adorable. But every time I turn around, she would lick my ankles, and I'm like, it's. I mean, I know there's a fetish for everybody out there, but licking one's ankles is not at the top of my list. So it's like just a little like, what the? So that was one of the few good parts of my day. So, so that was fun. But she is really just adorable. I may post pictures here in the chat a little bit. Cankles are very important. So thank you, Chad. So so what I was kind of alluding to before is like I don't want to be like the grand state of the world, but the grand state of the world is becoming troublesome. Like, I don't have anything really prepared that'll probably shock nobody, but like, just sort of speaking from the heart and off the top of my head, like, it really seems like most places I'm interacting, I'm finding people that are just really struggling, like a lot, and the things run kind of like the gamut of reasons. Some are personal, some are interpersonal, a lot of financial. It's kind of like the common things that you expect adults to be struggling with, like in young to mid-adulthood, right? Like relationships, finances, careers, my place in the world. Like that's kind of a big one. And it's striking how common it is that everyone, almost everyone I speak to, is in some sort of way or funk or ditch because of some of these things. And I don't think that there's anything new about that, right? Like, I think that these are struggles that a lot of people have had over their lives and over the years. Different generations struggle with things in different ways. So I don't think any of that is particularly new, and I'm somewhat crafting or working on this new theory that's probably not new. It's probably barely a theory, but I speak a lot, and I have spoken a lot over the years about your sort of levels of tolerance and like what everyone can sort of handle. And I can't speak for everyone, but I do think it's something that's relative to everybody's existence, right? Like, people talk about being at the end of their rope, or like they had it up to here. That was my mom's thing. My mom always had it up to here. I don't know what it was, and I'm not even sure where there was, but I knew that was like kind of about it for me to just keep messing around and pissing her off. So I knew that meant something. But I think what it is for me and what I've experienced is that this overwhelming tone that we exist in as a culture, as a society, is just eating up all of our resources, right? Like all of our ability to tolerate all of the things that we can do, probably back, like let's say pre-Obama days, just for people, or even like during Obama. Like unless you were a real hater and stuff like that, it probably started for you. But like for me, I didn't really have this problem until like a good couple years into Trump. Really, COVID really just like knocked it out of the park for me. But I didn't like. We've had political discourse over the years, right? Like I was talking to. I got to meet up with Annie for coffee the other day, which is just always great. It's always great to see her, especially because we don't see each other all that often. So we just sort of just word vomit and stuff like that. But we were talking about. Excuse me, a little bit about politics and the sort of, I don't even know what the word would be, like just the disparate, like the divide in this country. And I've been thinking that I haven't really seen, well, I mean, I wasn't alive, but I haven't really heard of anything like that really since like civil rights in the late 60s. I heard a lot about it because my family, my mother and her brother were very involved in civil rights and stuff, and my uncle, my mom's brother, was even one of those people that went and worked with like those three activists that went down south and got killed. I think that's the story behind Mississippi Burning. Like he worked with those people to register black people to vote in the South. Those people were getting killed all the time. Like that was a real big sort of like, people just did not agree on a lot. Plus the Vietnam War was going on, so you had all these students and people of draft age that were like, I don't want to do this. And so you had like a real split in America, and I think you have that again now. And I feel like we had it a little bit like during 9/11, and well, maybe just before 9/11, but definitely during like the Iraq War, there was definitely like kind of a split with Bush and stuff like that, because people just didn't like that. We were sure, half of us were sure that we were getting lied to into the Iraq War, and it turns out in hindsight that's absolutely what's happening. There have been no repercussions, nothing. And that's unfortunate, but like that created a divide. I think Obama just being Obama and being black and named Obama and all the misinformation that really started under his presidency created another set of divide. And then of course, with Trump, there was just this whole other divide because so many people were like never Trump, anti-Trump and stuff like that. And, people like me were like, I didn't like the guy, and I believe in my core that most of what he says is a lie and sham, because I can prove it based on stuff that he says and based on stuff that he does, including recently just on, I guess it was on Fox or something, like he just got busted saying something about how, well, I never said lock her up. That's nothing I ever said. And then they played video of him saying lock her up, and like he did it on something else. Like the man just lies. Like, and that's fine. I mean, if you know that about him, accept that about him. What's weird is when people don't accept that about him. Like people tell me like what a great businessman he is. Like he's not. Like let's make that really clear. What Trump is really good at is being P.T. Barnum. He is great at selling the name Trump. He is probably one of the best brand men that has ever walked the face of the earth. And if you don't think so, like you're not really looking at it honestly. But as a businessman, not really. Not really. Like he's failed some casinos. He's got buildings that are like going to be repossessed and stuff like that. He just got convicted of 34 felonies for falsifying business records. Like these are not signs of a great businessman. And I'm not here to tell you what to believe or not. I'm just saying like he says something and he does. So it creates that sort of divide. And of course, with the election of Joe Biden, half the country, or a loud part of the country, just don't believe in elections anymore because they didn't get their way, which to me, and I've said it so many times, is really just about spoiled, petulant children, because the only people that whine about stuff not being fair at the end of a game are spoiled brats. They just are, and just children that cannot really understand. Like, and there are people that are like, no, it's totally fixed. It's so, like, It really isn't, man. Like, and if you don't, like, there's so many people want Trump. Like, no, dude, I run into people every day that really don't. And if you don't believe me, just look at what happened just the other night or last night or whatever. Like, there are actually still primaries going on in this country, which is just silly to me. But, like, I guess if we had, like, a real contender. But, like, Trump didn't get 15% of the vote. Like, 15% of the Republicans in Arizona voted against him. They voted for Nikki Haley. They voted for Chris Christie. Like, these are people that are actual registered Republicans that do not want their, Republican nominee. And that's fine, and it happens elsewhere. But, I mean, like, Biden's not dropping 15%. And I don't know what that means, because I'm becoming less and less, in the Biden camp. And now I'm kind of, my resonating view on the Biden administration right now is basically like, well, he's not Trump, because I feel like the Biden administration has just shit the bed constantly. I think he did some good stuff, but I think it cost us too much to do it, and now I think he's just really just blowing it. I don't know what the hell he's trying to do at the border right now or in Gaza, but like, I don't think it's him. I think his administration is just dropping the ball. And I think they're playing pandering politics, which I think is exactly what just happened with congestion pricing in New York City, if you're following that story. None of what I said at all has anything to do with what I'm talking about. I just got caught up in one of those vortexes of information. I just started spewing and running my mouth, which is always a bad idea. What I was trying to talk about was the fact that all of those things are creating this low simmer. Like when you're boiling something, it says bring it down to a simmer. What a simmer is it's a slow, very slow boil. And it's basically just keeping the temperature of the liquid right at the boiling point. And it allows for like this slow, heated kind of cooking, kind of, alchemy that's going on depending on what you're putting in there. But at any moment, you can remove the heat and the boil goes away. At any moment, you can add the heat and you'll get a rapid rolling boil in seconds. That's what a simmer is. And I think what I'm experiencing out in the world, and maybe you are too, which is why I'm bringing this up, but I think what I'm experiencing out in the world is life at a simmer. So many people I know are at this point where they cannot handle a breeze coming their way because it really will knock them over. And all they're really looking for is just a reduction in that heat so that they can get to some place safer, calmer, cooler. But while we have all this stuff in the world going on, this constant barrage of stuff, you have somebody like me who has to drive out to Long Island City yesterday for work, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. I have a job. It's part of my job. But it takes me an hour and a half to drive to Long Island City. And it takes me 2.5 hours to drive back. Now, granted, yesterday was not a completely agitated sort of day for me, but it was a very low day for me. And that kind of makes things very difficult to sort of function in. And you end up doing stuff when you're 95 minutes into a trip, like questioning whether or not you even belong in this space, in this universe, questioning how much longer you can actually handle these things that are going on in your world. These things that are coming from external forces. Like, you could be influencing them, and you could be manipulating them, and you could be the root cause of some of them. But the external pressure that's coming down on you, the human condition is just not designed to handle all of that all of the time. Those stress response that we talk about, that we've talked about for years, like, that's where they come from. External forces pressing down on you to the point where you can't breathe. You can't move. You cannot right your ship. How many days in a row do you honestly think you can maintain that before you go under? Debating yesterday on my trip home whether it's time for me to go back on actual prescription meds for my depression. There are a few things on earth that I want to do less than that. It damaged me terribly the last time I was on it. I picked up a brand new shiny case of ADHD, something I have yet to be able to shake. It ruins my ability to handle conversations in loud spaces. My anxiety has never recovered since being on anti-anxiety meds, I have not been able to pull this off. And, you know, it's a bad thing. Now, it does bad things to your body. It rewires your brain. It rewires your, you know, psychochemistry and stuff like that. Like, it's a pretty serious thing. And I have no doubt whatsoever that they saved my life, because they did. Because at the time I needed them, I didn't know that I was going to be able to pull out of that dive. Now, I'm older now. I'm in a much different space, and I will say that I am familiar enough with those feelings and those vibes to know when I'm in that sort of trouble, and I am happy to announce, for those that are interested, I am not even remotely suicidal at all. So it's a much different space to be in. But what I will tell you is that I myself and people that I speak to and have spoken to are at such an impasse with their ability to handle the external pressures that come every day that you honestly don't have to feel suicidal to just wonder if you're going to make it through one day to the next. Because you just might not. Like, your spirit could really just be done. And that is the thing that I'm most worried about. It's completely one thing when you just want to tap out and you're just done. I've written about it. I've spoken about it. I get it. I had a meditation teacher that once explained it to me, like what an amazing gift that actually is, to have that choice. And he's right. Like, he's right. Like, there are reasons out there that well beyond the scope of this show, that would make that make sense. But as I get older, and it's not just like a physical thing, like, what is going to be that last straw? What is going to be that last Jenga block that is just too much to handle? And we just give out. I have no idea. But when I tell you, it wakes me up in the middle of the night, most nights, and keeps me from going back to sleep, I am not even remotely exaggerating. That and the plethora of other things that just rattle around in my head all the time, because I can't handle what's happening to me all the time. That is a really bad place to be in, a real bad space to be in. And beyond that, the sheer number of people that explain or express a similar feeling is not only unnerving, but it is worrying, it's upsetting, and it's dangerous. I don't know what it's going to take to make the world a better place. I hope to God it's within my lifetime. I hope to God it's within the next, say, I feel like 4 years is probably going to be a disaster regardless, but like maybe year 5, that's a long ways out. So we, the collective we, have to figure out maybe just something better. Maybe a better way to be kinder to each other, just kind of as a group, like a support system. I think we and if you know the people I'm, talking about, like the people I see out there that are supporting each other, are trying to be good to each other, are recognizing those things. Like, keep on that, but keep close to it, for your benefit and the benefit of those around you, because I think it's safe to say that pretty much everybody is just needing a little more help these days. I don't know. I'm just a radio show host, and I know very little. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this situation. But it's time for some music. This is a song that I wrote, has a lot to do with that. Maybe you'll like it.